Good evening. I'm Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us. Tonight, things that matter in Moorhead. In a few moments, you're going to hear from Moorhead Mayor Delray Williams, who's going to be answering some of your questions via social media. And remember, you may remember just over 2 weeks ago, we had the owner of Hookah on Main, Daniel Omani, on the show because he said his tobacco license was not being renewed because he's black. Basically, he was racist. He and Moorhead Police Chief David Ebinger were supposed to present their case to the Moorhead City Council last night. And then this past Friday, Mr. Omani withdrew his appeal because he's afraid it could damage his pending discrimination case filed with the Department of Human Rights, which is against the city of Moorhead. Now, a second lawsuit has also been filed against the city of Moorhead by Marcus Hemworth because he feels his civil rights were violated during an arrest back in February of 2014 when he was kicked in the testicles by a Moorhead police officer. So what do these lawsuits really mean for the city of Moorhead? Well, with us tonight, Mayor Delray Williams. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So you used to chair the Moorhead Human Rights Commission. So I guess I want to start with the situation here with Mr. Omani. I mean, does he have a case?
You know, I don't know all the details. I mean, obviously, you know, whatever needs to happen will happen as far as that goes. I met with Mr. Omani for about an hour and a half, and nice gentleman, you know, so, and I would have recommended to him that, you know, if he had gone to the Human Rights Commission, he chose not to later, we would have recommended that's the only course that he can have if he feels like he's been wronged.
So why, I mean, he obviously feels he's being singled out. Is there any legitimacy to what he's making that claim about?
You know, on the face of it, I'm not seeing it. As far as what I know, you know, obviously they will go deeper into details about what happened. But on the face of it, you know, for a tobacco place to have that many times that police are there for a variety of reasons is cause for concern, especially an establishment that is really actually pretty close to residential areas. And I don't know who calls the police for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if residents do. And I think when you put a tobacco establishment in that kind of an area, I'm not sure you expect that kind of activity. And in fact, there is another one in Moorhead. I don't know who owns that, but I did call to ask to see if they had any calls, and they've had none. So, but he does do his a little different. You have like a cover charge when you go in, which is unique for a retail tobacco place, and it seems more like a nightclub than it does what I would consider a retail tobacco place. So that may be part of the reason.
So do you feel his license should be renewed, or are you okay with where it's at, that it's not been renewed?
You know, it'll play its way out. I defer to what the chief feels, that it isn't good for that community and that place. Maybe they could be in a different place. It is quite a few calls for that small of a business, and so I understand why they made that choice.
We got a lot of great questions for us. So I want to move on to some of those. One of those was about, and I'll get to the email in a minute, everyone, but first, the consternation around this Fargo-Moorhead shuttle. A lot of people are like, you know, why not? I mean, it's not like the Moorhead Center Mall is packed all the time.
No.
Hey, let's do it. So any movement on that, and where are you at with it specifically?
What I recommended to Mayor Tim before he came to ours is I said, you know, there's enough details that probably need to be ironed out. I said, let's put together a group, and that's generally what we did when we met to talk about it for the first time at one of our city council meetings. Ideally, I wish we had done a little bit of that beforehand, but it is what it is, and so I appointed 2 people from the council. Tim appointed 2 people from his commission, and I believe each of us have 2 citizens that'll be on it. And so that group will meet and sort of iron out details.
All right, here's some more from this email that came up as well. We can bring this up. He said, it's been painfully obvious for a long time that the MAT bus service needs professional, effective, efficient management. Why hasn't the bus service been turned over to a transit authority like it is in the Twin Cities with skilled professional people in charge who can do route planning, grant writing, coordinate transit among the surrounding cities, work with bus riders, and most of all, bring Matt up to the next level of service.
It just strikes me that it does have professionals working on it. We have our MetroCog that helps work out what details where. I have not heard specific things. I mean, I'd love to hear what things they're thinking aren't professional. People have not been telling me.
Person I know watches the show regular, so
I
you can email, obviously, Mayor Delray Williams and give her some more feedback on that. Another thing that came up, we got a piece about this as well. It was the Great American Meat Out Day, first day of spring, where it says, hey, don't eat meat, become a vegetarian. Someone commented on their piece that was in the paper. Here you can see here, a gentleman on a carrying says, won't spend 1 cent in Moorhead. He goes on to say, so Moorhead Mayor Delray Williams proclaimed Friday as the Great American Meat Out Day. It's hard to believe a mayor in any city in the Red River Valley would do anything to damage animal ag and the effect it has on crop farmers and people with ag-related jobs. He went on to talk about boycotting Moorhead businesses. What say you about coming out on the Great American Meat Out Day?
You know, I do a number of proclamations. We probably don't count them, but I would guess easily a couple dozen a year. And they're usually based on citizens that ask something that has to do with an event. And this was a local vegan group that was excited about their day and wanted to have a proclamation for their own purposes. And to me, what people do, you know, I personally am a meat eater. I sometimes actually do the low carb thing and eat a lot of meat, actually. But, you know, what they do is up to them. It wasn't a declaration that everybody does that. It was just a proclamation for their event.
All right.
And I got a kick out of what people would say. You know, I've had so many people tell me that they were purposely actually shopping in Moorhead just to make the point. And I thought, okay, come on.
Well, there you go. So we're hoping to do this more often with you, maybe once a month or so. So if you got questions, I mean, there's so much going on. We didn't even get to the part about obviously the rail safety, the new transportation stuff, all those things. So we'd love to have you back in the future, okay?
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Stay with us. When we come back, Jason Flores, the executive director of the NDGOP, is going to be joining us. We're going to touch on some of this Minnesota transportation stuff. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton looks to raise the gas tax. Also, FEMA may deny funds for a reason that you may not believe. We'll talk about that right after this. Also, check out our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/630POV. We'll be right back.
It's the amazing 2015